SJS Theatrical. What is SJS Theatrical? I would say that it's a nod to classic theater ensembles, to the idea of a group of people coming together with a want and an ability to tell a story to the masses. In all essence, I would say SGS Theatrical is what we're trying to do is form a new evolutionary pattern of theater that brings it back into the fact that actors and directors and technicians should know everything. Um, we should all be a part of that world. So I would say at the heart of SJS Theatrical, what it is it's um it's theater at the core. It's a company unlike what most companies are today. It's not a community theater. It's a production company that has community and regional actors. So it's a little different. It's an exciting experiment. Um, when we came together to form SJS Theatrical, I think our main route was art first, as well as topical pieces, something that will send a message. And I think that goes into what we have chosen as our opening piece, Bear, a pop opera. And that's a whole different experience there. We're not even doing a traditional musical as our first show. And with communities like Hollister that we go to, and Fresno that we perform, and our cabaret show in San Francisco, and we have a very diverse clientele, um, but it is a very avant-garde way of looking at the future of musical theater. I think to answer the question why we chose Bear would be to have to answer what is Bear, and I think Bear is going to be different to everyone. What Bear is to me as a director and as a producer, um, it is a chance to tell a story that is not often told in such a sophisticated and easy way to communicate with an audience. The amazing part of it is the show in its core and its design is very sophisticated, but in its language, since we're dealing with high school teenagers, it connects to the core directly to the person. Um, Also, I think Bear it shows a love story that we all uh, in the new generations and you know especially since the show set in the thousands, the 2000s, um, it shows the progression that we're at now, but still where we have to go. Um, Religion and homosexuality and teen pregnancy and all those and eating disorders, all those things are real and they happen in today's society, and we tend not to talk about them. Um, so why Bear? Because we get an opportunity to do something that not that many people will take the risk of doing, and that's telling a story that is extremely honest to an audience that normally would not see that. With our show in Hollister, it will be very interesting to see how the community takes the show and what they take from it, and uh, also to see what it brings into the area. We're bringing a whole different type of talent than has been in the area before, and with the progression of San Benito County's theater, um, and how much it's expanding, and the shows are just getting better and better, we thought it would be the perfect time to bring in something that would again push that boundary, go to the next level, see a darker side, an interesting truth that many people wouldn't be able to see. Um, that's why Bear. Uh, I think that's the biggest reason why we are doing Bear. Also, everyone loves a good Romeo and Juliet twist, and that definitely the show definitely has that to it, and it has that feel. And the audience, they won't see it as gay, straight, bisexual love. I think they'll see it more as reality in the human connection. And we all remember how high school was. And we all remember how puberty was, and being confused and coming into one's sexual reality and one's own skin. And you get to see that from all the characters, from every point of view, and it is extremely beautiful to watch. I think this time around, when we thought of production staff and we thought of who our founding team was going to be for this first adventure, we really took into consideration of smaller, and we looked at what the best imagery was and what the best partnerships were when we were creating art. And that's what it came down to, and we now have the best of the best from our 6 years experience, leaving the community theater world, leaving community theater that I was an artistic director of and one that I founded was a hard thing, but moving now into a world where the three main people who created the Jekyll and Hyde, the Never-Ending Story, the Richard III, um, the Wonderland, the three main people who created those images and the beauty that we got recognized for, we're back, and we're back together creating SJS Theatrical Productions. Dana, Gio, and I worked very hard, um, and we have a great group of private investors who help us along the way, and so it's fun to work with a small group of people where the ego isn't there. It's all about the art, and I think for the last couple years, as you get bigger and bigger, you start to learn some things, and I definitely learned a lot, and our production staff has too, and I couldn't be prouder of what we've put together as a cast. Well, like the production staff, we were very picky. It took us a long time to find the core cast, and I'm not ready to announce everyone yet, but I will announce a couple people that are going to be in the show. Our Jason is Jeremy Leclerc. Jeremy Leclerc. He's very interesting and very intriguing and a lot of depth already, and I cannot wait to see what he brings to that character. And he's a little bit different than your average Jason, and I like that. Your Ivy. Ivy is played by Megan Anderson, and the funny thing that I'm doing with this production and she's doing with this character and we're doing it together is I think we're going to make people fall in love with Ivy and really empathize with her in a way that they don't usually do in other productions. And I like that, and I like what we've started to work on there. Nadia. Nadia, Spitfire character, the twin sister to Jason. Um, she wants to be a Juliet, but is never the Juliet. And she has all the talent of a Juliet, but sometimes the talent doesn't matter. And that's what we see. And she has a lot of angst. And Danny Horitz, who's playing that character, pulls off that angst and that anger and aggression, but also that subtle sweetness very, very well. And it's amazing, and she's phenomenal at what she's doing, and she'd be great. She's going to be great to see as well. The character of Matt is usually I think people play him too reserved, and I think the amazing thing about the character Matt is just like Peter and Jason, he struggles with wanting to fit in and wanting to belong. And it's just a little bit different than what they struggle with. And our actor Japoy Ramos, who's playing that character, he brings out something I've never seen in a Matt before that will shock the audiences, and I really cannot wait for you to see what he does vocally. Then we have our nun, Ebony Muse. She's the nun in the Hollister and the Fresno productions. I worked with her. It was eight years ago. We went to school together at PCPA, Pacific Conservatory of Performing Arts in Santa Maria. And we've always wanted to work together again, and now we have that chance and that opportunity, and we couldn't pass it by. And you're going to be blown away with what she brings to this production. In the Vallejo production, we will actually have the part of Sister Chantel played by Megan Arthur, who is another really close friend of mine, who I've done many shows with at Renaissance Fair Productions, and just recently got to work with her as the musical director to a show that I was directing at Renaissance Fair, and I cannot wait to see what she does with it. And that's going to be the amazing thing, is I get to be on stage playing Peter with two nuns that I have such a close personal connection to, and that will be beautiful to see. Our priest, Robert Vasquez, amazing priest, amazing performer, and he will bring a depth to this character that most people haven't seen yet. And I'm sure you're going to have questions about Catholicism and Bear soon, so I will answer those in that section. But yeah, that's the cast as we'd like to announce now. We do have some more people who are in the cast that we're going to be announcing soon. Some Fifth Wall alumni are coming into the show, as well as some new faces. So stay tuned on the cast notice and see that.
The vision of Bear, huh? You know, when we first decided to do the show, we bounced around multiple ideas, multiple visions, multiple ways to approach the show, setting it in today's society, setting it in 2005, setting it in in different affluential groups and things like that. And I think the work that we've done best is when we've kept it personal, and we've kept it close to the heart, and we're able to tell the story that way. So when we went to go finalize our vision, it really kind of started with colors. We wanted to pick colors, and I kind of decided I want to take a fresh look to the show. In most shows, you go see Bear, you see the traditional Catholic colors. You see, green, red, those types of plaid. And I wanted to do something a little bit brighter. I didn't want the world of St. Cecilia's to feel as dark as the music can make it feel when they're in church. I wanted it to all be bright. I wanted the feeling of this happening right now in front of you to really impact. And so, I went straight to purple. Purple was a bright purple color. So we went, okay, if we go that way, okay, so we have purple, gold, and gray. That will be our basis of what we oversee as the school colors. And so the next part about deciding that is which way to take it. And so eventually we sat down and I was like, okay, my 10-year anniversary from high school is this year. And, I started thinking back, and I thought about how certain things in my senior year and in my junior year and my, in my high school years did really impact me. And kind of, certain things did affect me and have still affected me today. And, Peter lost someone that I really loved in high school at such a young age. And that, in his senior year of high school. So I was like, okay, well, what if we take the perspective that the whole show is Peter remembering what happened at St. Cecilia's. And since we've taken that perspective of the show, it has opened a whole new area of surrealism. And you feel like you're watching these personal memories, and you're extremely connected to them in watching them. And as Dana said the other day at rehearsal, at some of these moments it really does feel like being a fly on the wall, and you shouldn't be there, but you're there, and you feel lucky to be able to see such emotion. And that's where the show is. I mean, if it's not just, the emotion between Nadia and Jason as brother and sister and the connection that is, or the connection between Peter and Jason, or Matt and Ivy and Jason and Ivy, and Alan and Nadia and Matt, and how these webs and people feel about each other. It's high school, and in this memory, high school is so much more dramatic. You always remember it a little bit more dramatically than it is, and when it's then in there, it was dramatic, but now you kind of can laugh at it. And I think doing this way, you can kind of see the funny aspects of what happened in his life and what happened to the kids at St. Cecilia's, and the tragic aspects. So yeah, that's the vision that we're going with, and overall, our vision is to tell a true story. And through the techniques that we do that, I think you guys will find this a very fresh new take to Bear. Religion in Bear. The funny thing is that was half the reason why I really wanted to do this show. I grew up Catholic. I love the rituals of Catholicism, and I still consider myself a Catholic today. And it was a big part of my growing up, and it was a big part of, my discovery as a child. I used to run vacation Bible schools for my local church. And so I I was heavily into the church, and I loved it. I loved the connection that I felt, and um, I loved the community aspect of it. And so, in many ways, I lived the turmoil that these characters are going through. I really grew up and struggled with my sexuality and the church. And it was a very don't ask, don't tell mind frame of growing up in the church community. Um, and I think it's important for people to see that there are two sides to every coin. I mean, realistically, you get to see that in Bear. You have a priest who has to hold to the doctrine or basically lose his job, lose everything that he's ever worked for. And you have a nun who's younger than the priest and is really a part of that new generation of Catholics that we have now, represented by the new Pope. And she's more about love. God don't make no trash. All those things are things that you as a Catholic, or you even as any Christian or any religion growing up, you deal with. And there's always a progressive and a conservative side of a religion. And today, so much talk is talked about other religions. We kind of forget what the religions that we hold in a high standing, Catholicism, modern day Christianity, Mormonism, those religions, they are affecting our youth just as much as any other religion that has, or Islam, or Judaism. They all affect how a kid grows up and what we can become as a society. And I want people leaving not angry at the church, but not happy with the church either. I want them to leave with the feeling of things will get better, and they are getting better. And to remember that God's love, in essence, was more about loving everyone for who they are, and that is one of the messages you get to see in Bear. And it's very interesting because the religious aspect is a huge overtone in the show. And when we picked the show, we weren't scared to deal with the church and deal with the topics, because they're topics that we respect. And that, I think, is something that you don't get to see very often. Is I respect both sides of the story, and I've lived both sides of the story, and we were able to tell that on stage. And it's really fun going back and experiencing the church in a whole different way by doing a show about the church.